shine, time to shine, shine bright, be the star you are, yeah. Time to shine, shine bright, be the star you are, yeah.
Hi everyone! Oh my gosh, it's been such a long time since we've been in this episode of Chat with Nick. So welcome back to myself. It's been a long time. Yeah, but I'm sure everyone out there has been reeling from all of the activities for Filipino American History Month. And my gosh, yeah, I must tell you guys, my body completely shut down last Sunday because I attended as many events as I could in the last 30 days. Oh my goodness. But yeah, that's something that we should all be proud of, right? We're all Filipino Americans trying to put our own marks in the world, especially here in California and in the United States. And what better way to have so many events for 1 month, right? But we should do it every day, right? And tonight we actually have someone who's made her own mark in the US, in California, and in Hollywood. And yeah, I'm with no other than Miss Janet Nepales. So she is a world renowned journalist from the Philippines, and we actually went to the same school, and she went to the same school as my mom did. Yes, and so Miss Janet Nepales is an award-winning journalist based here in Los Angeles, who recently released her first book. It's her first coffee table book entitled Fashion, Filipino, Hollywood, the World. And she is a consistent winner in the National Entertainment Journalism Awards, a national competition, and the Southern California Journalism Awards. And she was recognized by the Filipina Women's Network, FWN, as one of the 100 most influential Filipino women in the US in 2012 and one of the 100 most influential Filipino women in the world in 2013. And she's an award winning journalist who has consistently showed up in Hollywood for that matter. She is actually the very first Filipino and Filipina treasurer of the Hollywood Foreign Press Association. And that organization actually organizes the Golden Globes every year. So that's something, that we ought to, pay attention to because she's out there representing the rest of us in Hollywood. Um, and she was recognized by, once again, like several organizations in our Filipino American community. And yeah, and we're going to learn more about her book tonight. And I'm just nervous and excited. And I'm sure a lot of you are just as excited as I am. So I am just going to bring her in and we'll find out more about her. We'll learn about her. Let's all welcome Miss Janet Nepales.
Hi,
Hi, Janet. How
hello.
are you doing?
I'm doing fine. Thank you very much for having me in your show.
Thank you so much for being with us tonight on a beautiful Tuesday night.
Yes, the November already. Pretty soon, Christmas.
Can you believe it? Do you hear the Jose Marie Chan songs in your head? I'm just kidding.
Yes.
Yeah. What were you doing in the last month? I know you were just as busy as everyone else.
Last month, I've been doing what I love to do, writing, interviewing people. But now, because of the pandemic, it's mostly by Zoom. So we're doing a lot of Zoom interviews. And I also been promoting my book, my first coffee table book, as you mentioned, Fashion, Filipino, Hollywood, the World. So I've been busy with that.
That is so awesome. And I wanted to find out, first and foremost, like, what is it about fashion and Hollywood? that made you want to write a coffee table book?
Yeah, first of all, I love fashion, and I've always wanted to have my first coffee table book to be on fashion. I've always admired all the designs of our Filipino fashion designers on the red carpet when I covered the red carpet, and everything is a work of art. They showcase their creative genius, their originality, individuality, the mix of East and West, and I just enjoy putting them on my platform when I have the award show, and then I invite them and I showcase and I wear their designs. And most of the Hollywood celebrities, instead of me asking them, "Who are you wearing?" they would be asking me, "Who are you wearing, Janet?" And so I'm really proud that I'm wearing Filipino fashion designs and highlight them to the world.
That is so awesome. Like when you were young, did you ever think that you would be on the Hollywood awards nights and like featuring different actresses and actors and interviewing them on the red carpet? Did you ever
Mm,
imagine that?
No, but I just wanted to write. I just wanted to write, and I just followed my passion about writing. And then when I was in working already with the Times Journal, everybody from Hollywood who came to the Philippines usually stopped for me to be interviewed because I was assigned to the Sunday magazine of the Times Journal, which is Parade magazine. So most of the Hollywood stars who came to the Philippines and singers, I was able to interview all of them, and that started my love for interviewing celebrities and getting to know them and writing more about their lives. One of my most memorable interviews in the Philippines was with Linda Carter, the first Wonder Woman, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
she was looking for that little girl that she sponsored in the Philippines, and I helped her find this little girl on New Year's Eve, and we were able to trace her in a province, and then she brought her to Manila hotel where she was staying, and we stopped and bonded with this little girl and enjoyed her short time with her, and that made the front page of the newspaper on New Year's Eve, and that was one of my most memorable interviews.
That is so cool. I mean, yeah, Linda Carter, like she was one of those people that we looked up to when I was in grade school, and yeah,
Yeah,
I'm like giving away my age, but anyway. Yeah, I know. But that's like, one of those things, right? You wish to
yeah.
emulate them or meet them someday when you're like a little kid. And what inspires you to do what you do as a journalist?
I always loved writing ever since I know 7 years old. My grandmother, who's the district superintendent of schools, brought me along to her classes or her schools, and on the spot she would ask me to write a poem, and I would immediately I said, what topic, whatever topic, and then I would write about it, and then she would show her co-teachers about what I have written. So even at an early age, I've always loved to write. And then in high school, I was picked up by my the journalism teacher among hundreds of
Mm-hmm.
students to be the editor in chief of the school paper. And she really honed me and inspired me to go into journalism because she was the one who trained me on what it is to be a journalist. And from that time on, I took up journalism in UST, your school, my school, your mother's school, and I'm
Everyone's
proud to
school.
be Tomasino. And I also edited the college newspaper or magazine, which is The Flame, and also was the managing editor of the Varsitarian, the school paper.
That is so awesome. And um did you ever think you would be a creative writer as far
Like
as like writing novels and like long format, or were you really like into journalism, like documenting events and all that?
probably in the future I see myself writing short stories for young adults or probably even children's books, because I remember when I have two girls and they were growing up, and I've always been interested in reading children's books to them, and I think I can do that for them, for the kids, inspiring them and leading them into the right path at an early age, and also for the young adults, where you can inspire young female and empower
Mm-hmm.
them.
Yes, and that's something that we need for the next generation, right? Like we
Yes.
have to pave the way for them, so to speak.
Yes.
And you're one good exemplary person who, we can all look up to. Um and
Thank you.
so, like, I'm sure you've been through so many challenges. What was like the most difficult thing that you went through? Let's go back to when you were in the Philippines. What was the most challenging thing, and did you ever think you would give up? Because I know,
Ye-
like, being a journalist and being out there and trying to cover all of these events, like stories, there's a lot of challenging things, and like there are a lot of differing and opposing views, especially in politics and things like that. Yeah, can you speak a little bit about your challenges regarding those things?
Yeah, it started also at home with my father, actually. When I told my dad that I was going to take up journalism, he said, no, don't take up journalism. There are a lot of dirty old men in journalism. And he said there's no money in journalism. So I told him, Dad, you have to trust your daughter. You raised me, so you have to trust me. And whatever field you go to, there will always be dirty old men. It's just not like journalism. It's how you handle yourself. It's how I handle myself as a person, as a female. And I also said that regarding money, it's not everything, but if you are really good, money will follow. But I was able to prove to him now, with all the things that are happening to me, that I've been successful and I've been very happy in my chosen field of journalism. During that time, there were only like a few women in the journalism field. So that's another challenge when you don't see a lot of idols or people you would look up to. So you have to like be on your own. In fact, when I was in college, my PR teacher said, all of you will not be journalists. I will throw my hat to anyone here who becomes a journalist. We were a class of 30, and I still remember her. Her name is Bettina Olmedo. And as soon as I saw her in Times Journal and I was already a journalist, I told her, it's time for you to throw your hat because I'm a journalist. So those are the things you encounter. People who say no to you, that you cannot be a journalist, that this is impossible. But I still kept pursuing my dream,
Mm-hmm.
still kept pushing for my passion, because deep in my heart, that's what I want to do. And I want to inspire other young female girls that they should pursue what they love to do and not listen really to people who say that it cannot be done. You just have to take this as challenges in your life and just to go on with your dreams.
Mm-hmm. And so when did you become a journalist? Like when was your first um office experience as a journalist, or out there in the field?
Yeah, I was still in college when I already started turning in articles into newspapers and magazine. I was still fourth year college, and so my name was already out there. I was already 19 years old, and I've been writing already. So some of my classmates thought that I was older than them because they already know me. They already read me in the newspaper or magazines, but I put myself out there. I said, I'm not going to wait until I graduate and then look for a job. I'm
Mm-hmm.
just going to put my foot in already. So by the time I graduated, the editors already knew me and they already invited me to join their newspaper, be an intern, and then suddenly they already hired me to be part of the group. So I was one of the youngest members of the Times Journal that went to London on the inaugural trip of British Airways. And everybody thought that I gave up my seat for my editor, but I said no, I was the one invited by British Airways to their inaugural flight to London. So that was one of the first for me.
That is so awesome. And what other events in history that were pivotal in how you perceive what your job is as a journalist? Like, what were those events that you went through?
There are a lot of challenging events that people will say no to you or it's impossible, like even joining Hollywood Foreign Press or Golden Globes is something very hard, but I was able to get in, and my husband, and we're really proud to represent the Philippines in this organization of several journalists from various different countries. And since we are the first Filipino and first Filipina journalists, we are showcasing what the Philippine journalists can do. And we have opened our
Mm-hmm.
doors also to a lot of journalists from all over the world, and also different countries, and different nationalities, and people of different colors.
Mm-hmm. And so you were talking about different colors, different nationalities, and being that the Hollywood Foreign Press is really for journalists from other countries to become part of Hollywood, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
And so, how do you think Filipino Americans are now perceived by other countries or by people in Hollywood?
Filipino Americans in general, or just Filipino Americans in press?
Filipino Americans in general.
I think they are being perceived as very talented group of people who are very hardworking and who are proud of who they are, and they want to showcase what they can do to the world in terms of whether it be arts, fashion, and or in any field for that matter, whether they are Filipino American doctors or nurses, or Filipino entertainers. Filipino Americans are perceived that they are always putting their best foot forward, because they didn't come to the United States, you know, not to work hard, but to work hard and to deliver what the country also needs for them, to contribute what the Filipino Americans can do.
Mm-hmm. That is so awesome. And in your humble opinion, who are like the most exemplary Filipino Americans that you've met in Hollywood? That those that really, represent what you consider as, the Filipino American actor or actress or showbiz personality or celebrity.
I actually like the people behind the East-West players who are in the business, who help the Filipinos in on stage, and then they jump into films, because they give these Filipino Americans a stage to hone their talents, and then from there they go into the movie business and other stuff. I also admire like people like Fritz Friedman, who have opened the doors for other Filipino Americans executives to be able to green light projects and to help others in
Mm-hmm.
in the higher level of the industry, to highlight the best of the Filipinos.
That is so awesome. And those are, the people that we should look out for. And, we should always support organizations like the East West Players. They're right around the corner, from a lot of us. And like as we keep on talking about your profession as a journalist. So can you give us a rundown of what a journalist does on a daily basis?
For I'm an entertainment journalist, so it's so hard to give a rundown of, every day is different for me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I usually write, I interview, I watch movies, and then I cover film festivals all over the world: Cannes, Venice, Toronto, Sundance, Philippines, Cinemalaya. So it's all over the world. You cover red carpets and premieres and junkets, and sometimes it could be out of the country. And it's a lot of work, also a lot of traveling, a lot of interviewing, a lot of sleepless nights. Sometimes you sleep only 4 hours. Sometimes I work also for GMA7 as their Hollywood correspondent. So sometimes they need a report. It's like 2 a.m. here, and you know how it is in the Philippines. There's a time difference. So you have to finish all this work when they are waking up, and you are almost done for the day. So it's hard to, like, it's not a 9 to 5 job. Journalism
Mm-hmm.
is not a 9 to 5 job.
That is so cool. I mean, that sounds really, really exciting. That's like one of the things that I wish I had, like I wanted to become, when I was younger. Like I wanted to be a photojournalist out there because during the 80s, a lot of us, were in the Philippines and we all know what happened back then. Like I wanted to be one of those people covering, what was happening in EDSA and all that stuff. Yeah, so I really truly admire, what you do like out there, and like you're covering events and things like that.
Yeah.
Um, but
Ruben and I
um,
actually were there at the EDSA revolution. We were before the big People's Power, you know, revolution. We were there in, boycotting and rallying and at the beginnings of the People's Power.
yes, and I went to some rallies. I was in grade school, but I experienced it all too somehow. Yes.
Good for you.
And what are the qualities or traits that would make a really successful journalist in your opinion?
A lot of hard work and dedication and drive and the search for truth and being detail oriented and never giving up for your dreams and just following your heart.
And there's one thing that you said that really caught my ear, and that's the search for truth, right? And so a lot of journalists that we see, they're out there covering and fighting for their own lives, when they're covering all of these events, right? And so during your experience as a journalist, was there ever a time when you felt like you were in danger?
Yes, because during the rallies and the riots, you feel like your life is in danger. I went to Cotabato when there was like soldiers watching you all the time during the 1980s, and you had to cover an event or interview someone. But I never feared for my life. I just felt like always God is watching me, and I have a strong faith in Him, and I was just ready to do my job. So whatever it was, even if you see some soldiers there with guns and machine guns, and you're just doing your regular work, you're not scared because you somehow feel that somebody's protecting you.
That is so awesome that yeah, that faith keeps you going, right?
Yeah.
And was there ever a point in your life, like when you're in that kind of situation, when you're in like Cotabato or one of those areas, or one of those situations, did you ever feel like you wanted to give up what you were doing?
No, I never give up. I think that was instilled to us by our dad that never to give up. He was born during the World War II, and he told us stories of his life where they never gave up. They don't have food, they don't have money, but they never gave up. And he instilled that in his six children, never to give up, whatever happens. And I'm
That
the
is
eldest
so
in the
awesome.
family, so
Oh
he would
wow.
say, all everything that you do, your little brothers and sisters will follow you. So I was always supposed to be strong for everybody,
Is there a rule that you go by,
like my dad or me.
or just you, like you said, never give up, but is there any other quote unquote rule that you live by every day?
Yeah, I always live by having peace with yourself, peace with God, peace with nature. If you're at peace with yourself, God, and nature, you have a happy life. And that's why people are asking me, Janet, why are you always happy? And that's because that's how I live my life. And I always live it like a grateful life. I always thank God for all the blessings.
Yes, and your book is one of those examples of like having lived a great
Yes,
life, because you show us pictures and talk about the people that you've met on the red carpet, right? Are you ready to show us your
I
book?
am ready. Look at it.
There you
It's my
go.
first book. It's called Fashion, Filipino, Hollywood, the World. It showcases some top-notch Filipino fashion designers who have made their names in Hollywood and in the world. And I'm so proud of them. And I also highlight some of the celebrities that I have interviewed during my years as a journalist, and I've shown the favorite quotes of them from my interviews. And I'm really proud of this book. This is a first of its kind. There's nothing like Filipino fashion designers on the red carpet that has been written about them. And I'm proud of this book because it showcases all their talents and what they have achieved. So everybody should get a copy of this book, and they can
Yes.
always message me on Facebook, Janet Susan Rodriguez Nepales, or Fashion Filipino Hollywood the World, and we will take care of you.
Are they available on Amazon or any other outlet out there?
Not yet. They're available just to me through ordering from me and from the Facebook page.
That is so awesome. So you'll see a message later from me.
For sure.
Yeah, yes. And so who are your favorite designers? Let's
Well,
let's go let's go with that.
yeah, a lot of the people here are in the book. A lot of them, are a lot of big time fashion designers that I admire. Like we have, for instance, I'm gonna show you. We have Fern Amato. He's from Dubai. He's well known there and also in the Philippines. We have David Tupas, Francis Libiran, Oliver Tolentino, Kenneth Barlis,
Mhm.
Rahul Laurel, Josie Natori, who's an icon, RC Kailan, Huy Quinones, Bong Monsanto, Alan Del Rosario,
Monsanto,
S. West
Alan Del
Marco,
Rosario, Monsanto.
Michael Cinco, Rocky Gattercall, who passed away. And I was the last journalist
Mhm.
to interview Rocky Gattercall.
Okay, so we have a question from our audience. So Charmy is asking, who's your top three favorite people to interview and why?
Number one, George Clooney. Why? Because when you interview George Clooney, he gives full attention to you. He doesn't care who's the big shot beside him or anything. If he's talking to you, he has full attention to you, and he doesn't. He tells. He's very down to earth, very charming, and I just love him for always being there for us. Like he and Amal, his wife, took care also of Maria Ressa, and I'm so happy about that as well. Number
Mhm.
two is Meryl Streep, who's also very down to earth. She's a natural beauty. When you interview her, you she's thinking about, oh, what I'm gonna do for dinner, or she's worried about her daughter not having lunch or something. So I really like that, being humble and down to earth, and she's a natural. Number three, but he passed away, is Robin Williams. I really love
Mhm.
Robin Williams because when we interviewed him, every time, all the time we interview him, it's like a one-man show. He performs for you for the whole 1 hour. It's like you want to videotape it and then showcase it. It's a one-man show. It's like he's just something else. Nobody like him, and I really miss him.
That is so cool. I mean, you get to meet all these people. And so, do you have any memorable experiences on the red carpet? Was there anything that stands out for you?
Your memorable experiences were when I interviewed the stars, as I mentioned to you, and they turned to me and asked me, who am I wearing? And I'm so proud that they noticed my Filipino, uh, my dress or gown that was made to me by a Filipino fashion designer. And I'm so proud when I have the Filipino fashion designer as my guest, and I introduce them, and they hook and they do well. As a result of that, they become like well known. So I'm really proud of that.
Yeah, so you're definitely a conduit of Philippine fashion to Hollywood, right?
Yeah, yeah. One time, another memorable experience was when I almost got a wardrobe malfunction when my brooch got hooked to Alec Baldwin's suit,
Oh
and so
my
I was
gosh.
being dragged while he
Oh my
was
god.
walking. I said, excuse me, excuse me. He thought I was gonna have a picture or ask for a photo, but I said, no. I said my brooch is hooked to your suit.
Oh my god, that is so
We
funny.
had to stop,
Like,
untangle each other.
yeah, there's almost like room for a fashion faux pas.
Yeah,
That is so funny. Oh my god, that's so embarrassing. I mean, it would have been really embarrassing, right?
yeah, yeah.
And so what are your life, are there any life lessons learned from everything that you've done? Like especially like now that you're covering Hollywood.
Yeah, the life lessons I've learned is that what I feel is I think that whatever your dream is, even as a kid, you just have to nurse this dream and follow your dream, and just don't be discouraged when people say it cannot happen, because it will happen. You just look at the positive side. You have faith in God, faith in yourself. Because you are not competing with anybody else but yourself. And I always tell that to my two girls, Bianca and Rafaela, when I raise them. You are not competing against anybody else but yourself. So you should always better yourself.
That is so true. So words of wisdom from Janet Nepales. And we do have another question from Alvin this time. What are the top 5 best film festivals for you?
Oh, I like, of course, Cannes Film Festival is number one, Venice Film Festival number two, Toronto Film Festival number three, Sundance Film Festival number four, Cinemalaya Film Festival in Manila number five.
Wow, that is so cool. I wish one day I can attend one of those.
Yeah.
Yes, someday. And what will be your message to the younger generation? Let's say like someone heard of you or found your book and was really inspired, to do what you're doing. What would be your message to them? Any tips or advices?
I said keep get your feet wet, at least at the beginning already. As I did myself, I was not scared to contribute articles right away. So keep on writing. Don't be discouraged if the your teacher or editor tells you you're not doing a good job or something. Just keep on writing and writing and submit your articles as early as possible if you want to be a journalist, so you will be already known, and you can already practice what they want and learn from your editor. If the editor says this is not good, this is not right, learn from what he is saying. Don't be discouraged, and also keep on trying and have faith that everything will turn out well, because deep in your heart you have this passion that you have to follow.
Mm-hmm. That is so awesome. And I just found out something about you just right now. I heard you're a great cook.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I learned how to cook during the pandemic. I learned how to do paella, bibingka, the ube, the things that I've always wanted to cook. I learned by myself through watching, YouTube videos, learning from mistakes, and I've already perfected it. So when you are
Oh
in
wow.
class, you can do paella.
Wow. So thanks to
So
the
that's
YouTube
hard.
Academy, right? YouTube Academy. YouTube
Yeah.
University, that is.
Yeah.
That is so awesome. Yeah, and so oh my gosh, I'm looking forward to some paella by Janet Nepales.
Yeah.
That is so
The next
awesome.
one, cookbook.
Maybe you'll have your own cooking show.
Somebody already told me to do one.
That is so cool, right? And you can have like a bunch of celebrities try to cook with you. And so now that there are a lot of Filipino Americans up and coming, in Hollywood and in mainstream media, what do you think Filipino Americans should do to continue the momentum?
They should just keep on doing what they love to do, which is acting. And for writers to keep on writing, just to continue what they're doing and not be discouraged. And I know a lot of Filipino actors like, Reggie Lee or John Briones. They have been in the industry for a long time already, but they never stop. They never stop. They continue building and making relationships, networking. Like John. he was already discovered by the Ryan Murphy for his show, and then he gave him another show because of his very forceful and powerful performance in the assassination of Gianni Versace. And so
Mm-hmm.
he gave him Ratchet. So that's how to create your networks. You continue doing what you love to do, like these talented actors, Reggie Lee and John Briones, and showcase to the world that the Filipino talent is top class.
Mm-hmm. And what does Janet Nepales fight for?
I fight for female empowerment, Pinay power. I love the young people who love to write, and those are the things that I love. I fight for people to be fair and just, and to give equal rights to immigrants, and I fight for truth.
That is so awesome. I mean, yeah, it's like everything that we're hearing is like, wow. I mean, like I'm literally like getting goosebumps just, hearing what you're saying. I mean, like there's so many learnings that, we learned tonight. Yeah, thank you so much, Miss Janet Nepales, for being on our show. And to those people who are watching from Kumu, thank you so much. So we do have viewers from Kumu, from the Philippines. Like they watch our show every time we're on. So thank you so much. And of course on Facebook and YouTube. And if you're gonna watch this later on, like watch the replay, thank you so much. Yeah, like
Thank you.
people
Thank
of
you
the
very much.
future, thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you
and
for having me.
of course, thank you to Ruben Nepales also, who's out there somewhere.
Yes, he's
Yeah.
beside me.
Yeah, yeah. So hi, and I hope everybody has a great rest of a Tuesday night, and we'll get cozy and warm out there because it is getting colder, right? Except on weekends, it gets really hot on weekends for some reason. But yeah, I mean, thank you to global warming, but yeah, it's getting cold, so I hope everyone has a warm evening and a warm week ahead of them. And once again, thank you so much, Janet. And we'll see
Thank you.
more of you out there. And oh, I do have some announcements. And of course, on November 14, that's a Sunday, at the Noi Pits in downtown LA, we have our first Sunday jazz night with Fred Cortez. And Fred Cortez is actually flying from Dallas, Texas. He is a crooner, and he'll be having a show with Eric Baul, who's a jazz singer from LA, and we have Lyndon Apostol, who's a multi-talented singer, and Gene Moss from San Diego. So they're gonna be coming from all over, but they're all gonna come to Noipits, downtown LA, at Mick Diaz Presents Sunday Jazz Night. So that's the very first time we're gonna have a Sunday Jazz Night. And we need all of you to show up because we want to do this thing regularly and showcase Filipino American artists and show them that we have so many jazz artists and all kinds of musicians in our community just here in LA and in SoCal. So that's the first one. And so we'll see all of you next week as well. Thank you so much to everybody for watching, and have a great night, everyone. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you, Janet Nepales.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Janet. And we'll have some paella soon. Like
Yes.
some subliminal message out there. Thank you so much, Janet.
Don't forget the book.
And don't forget to grab a copy and message Janet on
Yes.
Facebook.
Yes.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you. Good night.
Night.